Hey, Billy the Bake here. Well, I'd like to thank you for joining me today as we grind our way up I-49 in Louisiana. I want to talk today about Step 11. This is part 5 in a 4-part series. Yeah, I said that on purpose. Part 5 in a 4-part series because part 3 got broke into A and B. Anyway, it's the final installment of the series on mistakes made and lessons learned. Let's call this one, hey man, really work Step 11. Really work it. But before we go any further, if you're new to the channel, let me introduce myself. My name is William, and this channel is about recovery and spirituality, and sometimes other protocols that I've found beneficial to support those endeavors. Yeah, and a lot of what this channel so far has been about is things that I've had to learn the hard way. Things I could have learned by listening early on. So I'm throwing it out there in the hopes that someone will hear my story, it'll resonate with them, and maybe it'll shorten the learning curve for someone. And if that helps anybody, then it's worth me basically telling a lot of stories that don't make me look good and sound good. Anyway, with all that said, let's get cracking. So, really work. Do real work at Step 11. You may be familiar with it. Sought through prayer and meditation of our conscious contact with our higher power. That's not necessarily that difficult for everybody. Then, but for other of us, folks who come in agnostic or atheist, it may not be that easy. If you're in the United States, a lot of folks are in a, raised up in a Judeo-Christian kind of tradition. And they have a set of concepts that work well. They explain questions, they answer questions to a satisfactory degree, and give workable protocols that can be relied upon a pretty good amount of time to get results. And for anybody listening who falls in that category, honestly, I'm a big proponent of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, there may be more to learn, there may be deeper to dive, sure. But I ain't gonna tell you that I think you should change your religion and become my religion. If yours is answering questions satisfactorily and giving you workable tools that are repeatable and reliable, like I said, hey bro, don't fix. I think there's a number of folks, I've talked to a number of folks who sound like they're in my boat, where they may or may not have been raised in a religion like I was, or they may have come into the whole thing just from the outside looking in. But it doesn't give them answers that give satisfactory explanations to questions. And it doesn't give them tools and tactics and protocols for effecting change in their lives reliably and consistently. All right, so for those of us who are in my boat, Step 11 may or may not be challenging. And I say may or may not. I came in and I had a lot of preconceived notions. But really, though, the big stumbling block I had was subconscious for most of the time that I had it. Like one of my coworkers going the other way. But like I was saying, my big stumbling block was subconscious. I've been told that it's very possible for me to have two contradicting ideas, two completely different ideas that are at odds with each other. And that's where I was at. For a lot of years, if you'd have asked me what my conception of God was, I would have given the answer that I'd heard people say in meetings. It seemed plausible and useful to me. And I think it is a good definition. I would have said that God is whatever creative force there is that caused the universe and reality as we know it to exist. And that it seems to be a kindly or beneficent force that is willing to help me, as is evidenced by the fact that it's keeping me sober. Hey man, good answer. I think it's a good model for the idea of what spirit is. Here's the rub. And I didn't know this for a long time, but I had a subconscious belief that was at odds with it. And that's that my higher power didn't think a hell of a lot of me. And it grudgingly kept me sober. That I'm guessing maybe it had run its mouth and said that it would keep people sober, go to meetings, get sponsors, work the steps, apply themselves. I was showing up and doing the deal, so I got to stay sober. But past that, well, fuck William. I'm not saying that's what reality is. I'm saying I had that kind of subconscious belief in the background. Consciously, I'm thinking one thing, subconsciously, no. I've been told that if you have two different beliefs, the subconscious one kind of win most of the time. So, anyhow, what this looked like is day after week after month after year, I sat my leather ass in uncomfortable folding chairs, drinking substandard coffee in church basements. And I watched other people come in and feel they talked like I can't see how anybody else feels, but I can listen to how they talk and extrapolate if they're being honest with their words where they're at. And they would sound like they felt a lot of purpose in their life, a lot of satisfaction in their life. And I always just had this kind of little feeling, like a little bit lack of purpose, a little bit of a rudderless ship. And I really wasn't satisfied with my life. Now, I've heard it said contentment is for cows. And that's a bumper sticker length way of looking at the idea that, maybe we should always be looking one road. Okay, I'll buy that. But there should be a level of satisfaction. And I didn't have a level of satisfaction that was pleasing to me. And I kind of developed this this mindset after some time consciously that there must be something inherently wrong with me, that Santa God doesn't come down the chimney with a stack of nightstep promises. Because I've been a good little program guy, and I've done the deal. I got a home group, got a sponsor, worked the steps out of the literature with my sponsor, didn't hold anything back. Service commitments, sponsored others, fellowship, all of it. And I didn't see where I was shortchanging anything in the whole process. Now, I came in somewhere on the continuum between agnostic and atheist. And anything spiritual was a hard sell for me up front. And I wasn't comfortable with a lot of spiritual terms, which I think is an irony because I've become such a big 11-step guy. And I don't think it's because I'm that spiritual, I'm a guru. You should ascend the mountaintop and bask in the magnificence that is the aura of will. No. I think I'm a big 11-step guy because it's been the big game changer in my life. It's been the boss fight in recovery. It's been the real, I think maybe the hardest thing. Damn certainly been real difficult. So, and it was a real game changer. And that's why I'm so big on it. Not because it came easy for me, and not because I'm awesome. And neither of those is true. Anyhow, the last couple 3 years before I really grappled hard with step 11, I started consciously having this change in idea. I was beginning to not wonder if there was something wrong with me, that I wasn't good enough for my higher power to give me the happiness and contentment and satisfaction that other people spoke like they were experiencing. And I was just starting to think Santa God was a dick. You know, imagine you got a old school God with a big old ZZ top beard, you know, probably gray like mine. Stack of thunderbolts in the corner behind him while he's on his golden throne. He's got Mark Alauners to either side. You know, Archangel Gabriel on one side, St. Peter on the other, cherubim and seraphim all over the place. They got their feet up on ottomans, drinking iced coffees, watching us little monkey-ass humans on a big screen. And then they see one of them, and someone asks, "Who's that jabroni?" And then God's like, "Oh, it's that William guy," you know. And they all just laugh. I'm the butt of a cosmic joke. That's how I was feeling, man. You know, and I consciously started to wonder that over a 2-3 year period. It's like, man, is my higher power just like tooling me? You know, why is it I was one of these high IQ kids who was destined for such academic promise, and I never finished college? I could never seem to get back to it. I have a resume that would only have any kind of use if it was printed on soft and absorbent paper. I can't seem to put a romantic relationship together that isn't just horribly dysfunctional. My friendships can be troublesome. Platonic friendships with other guys. And I got 20-something years in the game, and I'm not chippy. So, that was a rough place to be, man. That was not easy. That's not easy. And one day, I was out of work, I'd had a job, and the company was legitimately, it was kind of a shit show. And they lost their contract. And I was looking for another employer. I'd broken up with my girlfriend, who I was really fond of. My mom had just died. I was in financial dire straits. But I had this novel idea, which is instead of wondering why Santa God hadn't taken the trip down the chimney with the sack of 9-step promises to hook Billy Boy up, I asked myself what was a novel question. All these people who are getting what I want to have, doing what I want to do, and showing up how I want to be in the world around them, are they using the same damn tools that I've been using to stay sober, but using them more effectively? Or are they just using different tools? Or maybe a little of column A and a little of column B? So, yeah. Big question. I thought, how do I get answers to this question? It seems a pertinent question. I thought, well, I want to try and utilize this spiritual power in aspects of my life other than recovery. And I've been trying to for years. But I thought, I want to double down. I want to make this work. Because I'm sick of what I'm getting. I'm sober, but I want home. There's got to be more than this. My life wasn't horrible. Compared to a lot of the people on the planet, it's pretty friggin' good. But I just knew somehow I was not playing the game at the level I should be playing it. And at least in some aspects of my life. So anyway, I thought, no. So if I'm gonna utilize this power in my life, it would be helpful to have some concept of what that power is. I thought, how do I find out? Well, I thought I can look at what other people's conceptions are and see if I can find wisdom in it. And I can look at the tools and protocols other people use and see if I can find anything useful. And that's what I did. I bought scores of books. And by the way, a score of something is 20 of it. I didn't know that for most of my life. Bought scores of books, tons of reading, went to seminars, went to workshops, took classes, attended prayer groups, went to a meeting where they meditated, and I found that there was a Buddhist monastery near my house that did meditation, so I started going there, and then I found another meeting that does meditation. I talked to people of all kinds of spiritual beliefs. I didn't care if you were a Buddhist, a Baptist, a Baha'i, a Muslim, a Mormon, or a Methodist. I wanted to know what you thought of God and what tools you use to get that kind of power to work in your life, and how effective that was. And now watch us look at the trailer there. Got a sign that somebody put right out in the middle of a bloody corner. But I want to know what your concept of God is and what tools you use to get that power operative in your existence. And, what demonstration do you have of its effectiveness? And I didn't care if it was something that I'd laughed at my entire life. I didn't care how cockamamie it sounded. I was going to set aside whatever preconceived notion I had and try and look at whatever you said with fresh eyes. And I came away from this with a number of things. I came away, and it was a 5-year deep dive. This was not like just some hit it and quit it thing. This was legit a lot of study and a lot of work over a lot of time. And I really wrestled with a lot of concepts. My takeaways from this were, number one, meditation seems to be really beneficial. By the way, in the 11th step it says, sought through prayer and meditation, not prayer and or meditation. No, it says both of them. But on top of that, it seems to clear my mind. I have some ideas about spiritual realities that seem to be pretty much gelling into a workable theory that seems to reliably answer questions. I have a set of protocols that seems to be giving results. And as far as satisfaction and not having this or showing up there or doing thus and such, I was introduced to the concept of Dharma. Now, a Christian may look at Dharma and their spin on it would be God's plan for me. And someone else's spin on it might be one's appointed life path. And I know a lady who's a Lakota medicine woman, and she calls it a sacred contract. She considers it what our intention was to either experience or be exposed to or to otherwise interact with. That was an intention that we set before we took physical form. Hey man, use any one, all of those if that explains things. But the idea of Dharma or sacred contract, it made sense to me that, perhaps there were challenges that I'm fated to interact with, lessons that are going to be in my life. That's part of my life journey, is to have to, attend these lessons. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. It seems to answer questions to a satisfactory degree. So that's the theory I'm working with at the moment. And as far as Santa God not liking me, I doubt that's the case. I sincerely doubt that's the case. I think I just had my pout on because I didn't understand why my life didn't look like the lives of other people. Because I'm not other people. And I gotta live my own existence. And it's got nothing to do with fair. And it's got nothing to do with easy or hard. Or good or bad. It has everything to do with everybody's got their own thing. So there you are. Anyway, that's really about all I have to say about the 11th step without circling around and repeating myself. My life got way better when I actually got down and really wrestled hard with concepts. When I dove deep into it and was willing to look at things that I always thought were, well, frankly, bullshit. But you know, people knew the earth was flat. People knew the sun revolved around the earth. You know, what do you mean the earth is rigged? And it goes around the sun? Bullshit! Well, that sort of does, sorry. You know? So anyway, with all that being said, I'm going to have to look for my on-ramp here. It should be coming up in a mile or so. So I'm going to wrap up. And as always, wherever you are, whatever you're up to, I sincerely hope that you are safe, well, and happy. And until next time, see you out on the road.